This is the Chevology channel, the study and process of learning about Chevrolets. Been doing it for about, 50 years at least. So you know how old I am. Anyway, I took on this project of assembling this 65 Corvette for a friend of mine. And he bought an aftermarket chassis, and we're putting a LS6 with a 6-speed out of a Cadillac CTS via 2005. He bought the combination and contracted with me to assemble it, and I'm just going to kind of make some videos of this process. Obviously the body's already painted, and I don't know how far he's going to have me go. He's got somebody to do the interior, but I've got to assemble the car and make everything fit and function. So where I'm at is I've got the chassis situated in approximate position, and I've got the engine sitting in a decent position on the mounts that were provided on the chassis. Now, the chassis was not built for this combination. It was a generically configured chassis with C4 Corvette suspension. And I'll run through some of the issues that I'm running into here with this C2 to C4 with a custom chassis. I tried to talk him into just going with a factory chassis, which has already been restored and ready to go, and just modifying it, adding the updated suspension, but he wanted to go this way. So number one, this situation here where your heater hoses and things, this is an easy fix, but this is a different kind of fix, and I'm going to try and find a different way to do it. Most people are just pulling these out, threading the holes, and putting 90s on them. That's probably what I'll end up doing, but if this ever gets driven a lot and needs another water pump, then you have to modify the new water pump every time you do that. Not a big deal, and it'll probably never need a new water pump, but that's the situation. So the next thing is this C4 cross member in the front that holds the monoleaf. C4, in a C4, if you drop an LS in a C4, it sets back behind this, so you don't have an issue. But I have to bring it up above that, which changes my engine angle a little bit, but I'm really not concerned about that. And then, according to the chassis manual, which I have for this Corvette, the distance from the body mount position 1 to the front of the mount is supposed to be 18 inches. And he put these at 20, and he put these too low. I had the engine sitting down on these, moved back, and it sat too low in the chassis for me to get the clearance I need up here. So I'm going to have to modify these, but what I determined I'm going to do is I'm going to take the original mounts off an Cadillac Escalade. They're the truck, the GMT 800 truck is what these are. This is off an Escalade, but I think I'm going to use these factory mounts instead of an adapter, which I started to use, because I can get my angle. I can put this up here, get an approximate angle to cut these. Then when I move this forward from this position to this position, I can fabricate an angle bracket to use these factory mounting holes with. And that's probably the easiest way to modify what's already here. I'm pretty sure that the mount position he gave me here is going to be correct. And I'm told that when people do these in a factory position on an original frame, or a Morrison frame or rod shop frame, they have to cut the shift tunnel up here and raise it up about 1 inch. But there was another guy that did this conversion 13, 14 years ago, and he said he just lowered the transmission mount and didn't have to cut that. So that's what I'm going to do. And the way I am doing it with this frame is he had this cross member bolted on top of here, and it didn't have any gussets or anything. I'm not happy with that. I'm going to use it below because that'll give me the clearance I need for the transmission. And then I'm going to gusset these because that's not adequate. It's 400 horsepower. It's not a lot, but I don't trust that, and I don't trust this also with no gusset. It has just a butt weld, so that mount is also going to be gusseted. Anyway, the other thing I found out when I was trying to get position on the motor and clear the brake booster, heater hoses and stuff, it's moved forward about 3 inches, roughly 3 inches. But what I'm running into now is these C4 shock mounts. The bolt was turned to the inside and it was interfering when you got up to here into the rear floor pan. So I just turned the bolts around for now, but this is where they were starting to hit. So after I get this positioned with the bolt heads on this side, I'm going to have to make an access hole up here for shocks to if you change out the shocks or whatever, you'll be able to get to the bolt, and then we'll have an access panel cover over that. That's all relatively minor, but the things that aren't minor is with the C4 you have this big differential mount, and that differential mount is interfering in the tranny tunnel. It's hitting here. So I'm going to have to modify this tunnel somehow right in here, to be determined today, hopefully, so that this C4 mounting situation will work. I might modify the way he has this configured. I might modify this rather than modifying the body, but I'm not sure how that's going to work yet. So we will determine that to get this thing serviceable when it's put together, and with a minimum modification to the factory body configuration as possible. That's my goal. It's always my goal when I update drivetrains in these cars, is to minimize the modifications to the body, so that if anybody ever in the future wants to take it back to original, they don't have a problem. And that way everything service-wise for the body is factory service manual stuff. So that's what I'm running into. One other issue is the factory chassis manual gives me a distance from front to back, but it does not give me a distance from the back to position 4 or the front to position 1. It gives me the distance between all body mount positions, but not from the actual front of the chassis. And when I had this put down, this body mount for the front of the chassis was in and up about here. So without having the factory chassis here for reference, I'm going to set up lasers today and take measurements front to back, correlate them to the actual body, because I think I'm going to have to cut this back about 1 1/8 and have this mount to modify that mount, which might interfere with what the bumper has, but that remains to be seen. When I had these mounts going past here and landing here, I was about 1 inch off on all of the body mounts. So today is figure out what the heck is going on day and find a solution. So that's where we're at. This is we're going to have shorty headers, and then he's got side pipes. So I chose shorty headers so that we can just make a connector pipe from the shorty headers, however that's configured, to the side pipes on the final install. And then the shifter, I'm going to make sure that I position the car, the transmission, motor transmission, to exactly a 4, 6, 8, or 10 inch configuration, so that the shifter ends up going through the factory hole. I'm not the first one going through this rodeo, so that should be fairly easy to do. Which, this being a custom chassis or a fabricated chassis, I don't know where this mount is in relation to the body mounts either, because I don't have the factory frame here. It is available. I might have to make a 60-mile trip to just bring it here and make my life easier, but that's where I'm at, and it'll be a fun project. Hopefully it'll be done in another month or so, and I'll try to keep up on videos and let you know. I hope you liked it. Have a good day.